Hello, beautiful people. Welcome. If this is your first time here, welcome back. If you are a returning supporter, I truly appreciate you taking the time. My light all of a sudden just became okay. I don't know what's going on with it, but I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone. Maybe does that mean it's going out? I don't know. We shall. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone. Thank you for tuning in to Chelle's Closet Nurturing Conversations podcast. Um, I'm working on music that I could use to, play as I speak. You will hear the fan. It's because I'm hot. Um, I might turn it off every now and again, but you will hear it. For right now, I'm working on this. I'm working to build this into something bigger. Um, Tonight's conversation is triggering experiences. Um, if you are new here, or even if you're not new here and you just wonder why did I start a podcast about nurturing conversations, I feel like we as human beings do not talk. I mean, we talk when we want something or we talk when we need something, but we don't talk when it's important. We don't talk when we feel alone. We don't talk when we feel brokenhearted. We don't talk when we feel stressed. We don't talk when we should talk. So I figured I'll create a space where there will be uh, nothing but space and opportunity to have a nurturing conversation. Um, Many of these topics come from personal experiences, and I thought, uh, we're not alone, so we share some of the same experiences. So let's talk about it. One moment, please. One moment, please. Sorry, y'all. I'm back. I'm back. Um, I'm back. Okay. So what I was saying was, many of these topics, some come from personal experiences, some come from things that I feel like people should talk about, but we don't. And mainly just to start a conversation. Hopefully, something I say tonight inspires you to think about your current situation or a situation you have been in, or you could possibly be in one day, and you will know how to get out of that. So I'm gonna go ahead and give my disclaimers, and then we're gonna get it cracking. Number one, I'm gonna write a. Sorry, I'm gonna have to write myself a note because I just thought I could do a video about disclaimers. Disclaimer video. Okay. I do not tolerate disrespect in any way, shape, form, or fashion that is towards me, towards anyone that appears in the chat, towards anyone that appears on the screen. I feel as though it is 2022. You survived a global fucking pandemic, monkeypox, COVID in all of its different forms, Ebola, polio, your everyday life. If you cannot come here and be positive or just sit and listen, then this isn't the place for you. There will be there will be tears. There will be cursed words. I am not a mental health professional. I am one woman just willing to share my personal experiences to let you know two things. One, you are not alone. Two, you can overcome anything that life brings to you. What are some other things? My opinions are my opinions. Your opinions are your opinions. Let's come together to have an adult conversation where we, as people would say, agree to disagree. Um, yeah, and please be respectful of other people's opinion. You might not have to agree to Like, you might not agree with my opinion, but please be respectful. Again, I don't tolerate disrespect. Okay, that's all I got. So, tonight's conversation is also, I am currently experiencing, I have vocal polyps on my vocal cords. So, my voice will go high, low, deep. Sometimes I'll be talking and it won't be there. Just so you don't like freak out or anything, I am okay. It is just something that I have to deal with right now. And this Thursday, I go to get a second opinion if I did to determine if I will be having surgery or not after a major surgery in March. But we'll talk about that later. Because of course that is a triggering experience for me. So since hold I felt like my chair wasn't high enough. Okay. Whew. It might look easy, but it takes a lot to do this. Okay. When I thought about talking about trigger experiences, I wanted to make sure that I not only address like several trigger experiences, I also wanted to address alternatives or things that you could do to like be on the lookout or to help you cope with the experience, the triggered experience that you are experiencing. Um, so of course, throughout I'll tell you some things you could use to cope, and um, I will also talk about some of the triggers. So I guess I should say trigger warning. That wasn't a laugh. That was me clearing my throat, actually. Um, Sorry, I'm just sharing it out to some of my people. Because, people always say, I never know when you go live. And I'm like, I go live every Saturday and Sunday. I go live throughout the week, but every Saturday and Sunday I go live. And I just, want to make sure that I give everybody an opportunity to join the conversation. Um, whew, I don't know what it is, but I be so nervous when it come time to come on the camera. Every time. Voice or no voice. One more person. Sorry, y'all. One more person. One more person. Yeah, that's it. Oh no, one more. I said one more person and then message two more people. Okay. Okay. So, what is a trigger? I'm gonna read you the actual definition of it because I want to make sure that I say it right. Triggers are sensory reminders that cause painful memories or certain symptoms to resurface. I couldn't even spell it. A stimulus that causes a painful memory to resurface. What are triggers, or what are some examples of triggers? There's sight, sound, smell, touch, a time of day, a place. I know a lot of triggers for me were like smells and locations. Um, those were a lot of trigger, and sounds was big too. Um, I didn't realize that many of these things were actual triggers. I didn't even understand what the word trigger meant until I actually went to therapy. So yes, I do have therapy experience. I'm not a therapist, but I have gone to therapy, voice therapy, speech therapy, um, art therapy, physical therapy. I went to a lot of therapies, but once I began to understand triggers and how it affects me, um, I began to find ways that were beneficial for me to cope or deal with the experience. Like I have when I smell like Aspen or Nautica or Boss cologne, it like makes me, it weirds me out just because of the person who took my innocence used to wear those colognes. And so for me it's like it doesn't happen, it still happens, but it doesn't happen as often, or I don't have that ooh like I used to have before therapy. Now it's just like, okay, I'm about to, I'm about to have a moment. Let me just experience it and feel it and know that I am safe, know that I am okay. Um Another thing for me, um it probably was a trigger for you when you were growing up too. It depends on your household, but on weekdays when you would wake up and you would hear like you could tell like the type of music, if you were like going to, if it was going to be a fun Saturday, or if like you were going to be washing baseboards. Now if you don't know what a baseboard is, it's the bottom of the wall. um yeah, there was, it was those things. um so like certain music, like you can tell, like I would be able to tell the kind of mood a person was in based on the music that they were playing, so then I would know like how to respond. Even like in a relationship, like a previous relationships, I would know what kind of mood the person I was in a relationship in based on the music that they were playing. If they was playing like trap, like fun pop, like days, if they was, bobbing. But if they was playing that like I'm gonna get you outside, you know what kind of mood they were in. And so um for me, I just started paying attention. I didn't pay as much attention before therapy, but after therapy, I started paying more attention. I realized, um, I'm laughing because I realized that when I get stressed, like when I'm really stressed, I don't do this anymore. But I realized that when I would get stressed, I will always have a Pepsi, some peanut M&Ms, and some Frito Lay sunflower seeds. That was my go-to thing. And then I was like, wait a minute. I put the one and two together, and I was like, oh my God, I am stressed right now. And because I'm stressed, I am pumping myself full of acid, sweets, and salt. And I don't know why, but it always like calms me. It calmed me. It helped me focus. It really didn't, but in my mind, I thought it did. It felt like it did. And then I began to find different ways to cope with triggers. Um, when I would go to different places, and I told you guys before, like I did not know what a panic attack was. I just thought I was having a heart attack. And now you probably looking like, what you? Why you think you having a heart attack? You ever felt like your heart start beating real fast, and then there's like a pain, and then now you getting shortness of breath? And then when I went to therapy, I was telling her, I was explaining it like I was real life having a panic attack. And she was like, you're having a panic attack. And I was like, what the hell is that? And she was like, your body is in flight or flight. Flight or fight. And I was like, oh, that's something new. And so when I began to understand and study and get to know myself more, get to know my body, get to know like life and experiences, and I was just like, holy shit, it's so much we don't know. It's so much we haven't even tapped the surface on of how our body, our mind, and everything is all together. So you ever in 2022, you ever give someone like you're out and someone's like, hey, let me get your number. You tell them at this time you got a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a baby mama, whoever, and they still persistence, and you have that like, let me get this person this number because I don't know, this is taking a different turn. That is that, like you have that feeling. It's like a fear. It's like a, yes, something is about to happen moment. Is that I thought like as someone who felt abandoned by my parents, I would really, um, if I was like talking to somebody or somebody called, or if I called someone and they didn't answer, like I was on it. Like I would be real, like it's amazing what you find out about yourself when you get older that you experienced when you're younger. But I used to be real like, man, what are they doing that they can't call me back? And like, I used to be all like, my wheels used to be spinning. And it was like, because you felt abandoned. So now you feel like that person is abandoning you. And then that triggers something like, it's like, now I'm on a hamster wheel. Like, okay, I know they have their own lives. I know that they're doing something else, but how come they haven't texted me back? You ever been having a conversation with somebody and then like they don't respond and take a minute to respond, and then you go on their social media, you see like they don't post 5 or 6 statuses and they don't post pictures, and then you start to feel some kind of way? I'm not saying that you have abandonment issues. I'm just saying that there's something lying there. There's something there that you should probably check out. And then I was just like, I know they see. You probably said this too. I know they see me texting them. I know they got their phone in their hand because they posting statuses. And then you go down this whole thing, and in reality, it's just like they're busy, or they're just not thinking about responding right now, and that's okay. They don't have to respond at my every beck and call. But sometimes in our mind, we feel like that's what people should do. We feel like you should just be responding when I text you. So now, as a 42-year-old, I don't trip when I text somebody. If they text me back, I'd be happy, because sometimes, you ever get a text where somebody be like, girl, or bro, I thought I responded to you. And then it's like, oh, no, you didn't. It might be a couple of days later, but it's like, at least you responded. At least you did. For me, it is. It's like, at least you responded. You thought enough to, like, respond. Um, I think about um there's so many different when you really think about it, right? There's so many different experiences that can trigger you. Like, I was talking to someone, I was like, you ever been cheated on? I've been cheated on. But you ever been cheated on and then you like become like a cheat detective? Like you just know, like you've never been a detective on cheating or anything, but you just become a cheat detective. So now you remember the exact steps the person who cheated on you. You remember the exact steps that they took before you found out that they were cheating. So now you're in a new relationship, and now you're seeing that person. You're seeing, not physically, but in your mind, you feel like you're seeing. Maybe you are in real life seeing it also, but you're seeing the same steps being taken, and now you're like, oh, they cheating. They either cheating or they talking to somebody. They doing something. They're doing something. When in reality, it's just you're triggered by those experiences. And I began to think about that, like trigger, like our real life. You real life have to think about trigger experiences, and you probably sitting here, you probably watching, you like, I don't got no trigger. Don't nothing trigger me. You ever tell, if you're a parent and you tell your child to do something and they don't do it, and then you find yourself getting a little angry? You ever ask yourself, why do you get angry? Is it because you told them to do something and you wanted them to do it at that exact moment, and when they didn't, it was like you felt like you had to discipline them, or you felt like they disrespected you, or you felt like they didn't hear you? You ever was like, maybe they didn't hear me, let me say it again? Or you ever was just like, hey, hold on, let me get a sip. I'm just drinking room temperature water just in case you want to know. You ever remember when you were younger, right? And your parent would call you to come in there and turn the TV or get the remote, and the remote is like right there, or the TV is like right in front of them. And then you're like, but the TV is right there. So you're going back to your room and you're like, I don't know why she just didn't get the remote. It was right there. Or right. Why she keep calling you? Like, right. And then you become an adult and you have kids, and then you turn around and do the same thing to your kids. Like, do you think like one day that they will be triggered by someone asking them for a remote? Or not even like the remote, like they will be triggered by somebody asking them something to do something that they could do on their own, that they're very well capable of doing on their own. I think about all these things when I think about like my trigger experiences. I think about um sorry, sometimes it's been happening a lot more lately, but the vocal nodule comes on the other side of my vocal folds, and so that's why my voice gets deeper because it's affecting how it vibrates. Anywho, I'm trying to get through it, y'all. It's so irritating, but I feel like a lot of people at this present stage in their life, I'm going to say adults. I'm going to say adults, whatever age. I'll say from 18 until whatever. 18 until infinity, right? I am, my voice, I'm telling you, it's going to go high, low, it's going to do all of that. You see, I'm speaking at a normal tone. It's just, that's what's happening since this whole situation. So I try to keep it lubricated, hoping that like will work, but it doesn't. Anyways, so you ever, as an adult, if you ever think about like why you don't get help or why you don't tell somebody what you were going through, right? Is it because do you not share with people? Hi, Latasha. I'm sorry, I had another screen up. Screen up. Is it because you are afraid of that person's judgment of you? Like, think about like when did you become so aware of judgments? If we are honest with ourselves, a lot of us became aware of being judged when we were in our households, like in our families growing up, whether people admit it or not. Families can be really triggering. Families can be really triggering. And I say that because a lot of the things that we learn in life comes from like we learn it in our households. Like think about it. If you're a parent, you teach your child how to walk, talk, use the bathroom, put on their clothes. You teach them all of those things directly. Like that's what you directly teach them. But you indirectly, like say you're in a relationship where there is physical altercations that are not of the sexual type. You know what I'm picking up. You know, you picking up what I'm putting down. You are indirectly showing your child that it is okay to be yelled at all the time. Like it's like people who come from households where there was constant yelling, like you kind of get like there's like this thing where you can block it out. Like parents, if you're a parent, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Your child can scream and cry, and another person would be looking at you like you don't realize your child is screaming and crying, and you like I done bathed them, I done clothed them, I done gave them everything they need. Now they just over there crying. It's like a thing you just turn off, but sometimes we feel like we turn those things off, but in reality, we actually just mask them. So if you grow up in a household where your father is yelling at your mother all the time, when you get older, you're like, I don't want nobody to nag me. It becomes nagging. It's not really nagging. It's just adults having a conversation and you don't understand the conversation. And so you consider it, or maybe your father is like, oh, your mother nags me all the time. So now in your mind, you like, well, I don't want to, if you're a young lady, you're like, I don't want to nag my boo. And if you're a young man, you like, I don't want a woman that's going to nag me. It's not nagging, it's actually having a conversation. One of the things that I realized, I'm not gonna say it's like triggering for me, but it definitely makes me think like, damn, when you go to have a conversation with another adult or someone that you feel is an adult and they're unable to communicate their feelings, they're unable to say, hey, you hurt my feelings, or hey, I feel like this, or what you did made me do like that. It's not a trigger for me, but it triggered something in me to want to talk, have nurturing conversations, want to talk to more people to understand where they come from, where they're not able to communicate. Some people never saw people communicate. Some people only saw, physical altercations, or they saw the person leave and go away for a little while and then come back and act like everything. That's a trigger for me. That's a trigger. That's definitely a trigger for me. Like if you're having a conversation, like we're having a conversation, I feel like we're good dialogue. I'm saying something, you're saying something, I'm responding, we're having a good dialogue. And then we get to a point of the conversation where the person is un hi Jamela, where the person is uncomfortable speaking. For me, if you are having a conversation with me and you get to the point where you're uncomfortable speaking, if you just say, for me, this is for me again, it is my opinion. If you could just say to me, hey, I'm not comfortable talking about that, I will be okay. But the likelihood of people saying that is like slim to none. So this is what I hear. I hear, I'm done talking about that, on to something next. And for me, that's like rejection. That's for me, that's like, no, I'm not done talking. So I'm not done talking. One. Two, so because you're done, I'm just supposed to shut up and be quiet. Three, I thought we were having a healthy conversation. So now I feel like we have to go back to square one because something was triggered in you. And instead of you acknowledging that it was triggering or acknowledging what you felt in that moment, now I have to now I have to sit back and just be like, okay, so what do I do? You changed everything because I thought we were having a dialogue. You changed everything. And then I realized that not a lot of people have experience in conversation. Where do you learn conversation? In your household. How do you learn conversation? It's the way like your parents, your siblings, your grandparents, your immediate, your intermediate, whatever you want to call it, family interacts with you. I tell parents who have kids, I don't have kids, but I raised a bunch of them. I'm like, if you talk to your kids as though, not as though they are adults, but they are human beings, they formulate language. They are able to formulate language at an early age. You ever wonder why people buy their kids spend all that money on not is it hooked on phonics or so your baby can read or things like that. It's all about memory and conversation. So if you're talking to me, you ever been talking to somebody and they start talking down to you, like you, wait a minute, you an adult and you feel somebody is talking to you like you a kid. It's the first thing you say. Don't talk to me like I'm no fucking kid. I'm a grown ass. Yeah, that was a triggering experience. Somebody, somewhere, made you feel small. We all have triggering experience. I told earlier, like if you ever wake up, I literally just told my brother this before I came on live, and I was like, he we grew up where if in the morning if you smelled breakfast, it was like, okay, today gonna be a good day. But if you woke up and you heard church music and not like that happy church music, like that sad church music. Like it's like, okay, we about to be washing walls and baseboards for the rest of the day. Oh, we can laugh about it now, but at that time it was just like, God, man, can't wait to. Yeah, I've had triggering. I still have sometimes. Excuse me. I still have sometimes where um I'm triggered. This is why I think that we should tell people like, um, once you get out of a situation, the triggers don't stop. Like triggers don't they don't stop. Like it's not that's not the end of it. Like so you in a relationship, y'all break up. That's not the end of it. It's not. I know we like to convince ourselves that it's the end of it. Cause you ever been out somewhere and like say you hanging out with your people, right? And then like, hey, let's go to this restaurant, and you go to the restaurant, and that's the restaurant you and your person used to go to. First thing pop in your head is what? Yeah. Man, I remember I used to come here and let me get this because it's what I will always, it's always that memory. Like that's what a trigger is. It's like a memory that's stored in your mind and your body. Mind and your body. I'm going to say mind and body because sometimes things that are stored in our mind, um, you ever you ever got bullied? And I'm not talking about, oh, you going to school and getting bullied. I'm talking about like in your family, like older brother, older sister, or cousin, or somebody. You ever felt bullied and you was like, I don't want to go to their house because I already know what it's gonna be like, or I don't want to go over there, or I don't want to be around them because. And then when you are around them, you're like anxious. You're like, okay, I know at any time something's gonna pop off, and then I'm gonna have to run, or I'm gonna have to. Is that? Is that feeling? I feel like as a 42-year-old woman, I want to do whatever I can to ensure that the generations behind me don't have as many. I can't say they don't have any of those feelings. I'm going to say they don't have as many of those feelings. And if they do, they have alternative ways to deal with those feelings. When I was growing up, and sometimes I would be triggered, alcohol was my way of coping. Yeah, I, I used to drink alcohol, and not that fruity stuff. And I'm not saying if you drink the fruity stuff, I'm not saying I was like alcohol. Like, give me something really high in proof. I don't need a chaser. I'm good type alcohol. And then I honestly feel like now when I hear about people drinking and driving, that triggers me because I had a drinking and driving experience, and I see people drinking and like we're getting ready to leave a party or something, and like, oh, well, let me go. Even like, I realized something, right? I go to a lot of networking events. I'm an entrepreneur, so I go to like all these startup events or whatever, and they serve a ton of alcohol at these networking events. I I'm gonna say it's because I had an experience drinking and driving that I feel like this. So I go to these networking events, and from the time I am there until the time it is like almost over, people are drinking. They're walking around. They got the wine. They got the beer in their hands. This is no judgment. I'm telling you my experience. And so in my mind, it's like, okay, this is over with. And so people are going to their cars to drive home. And in my mind, I'm like, I could not do that. I did it one time in my life. I would never do that again. But how many lives are in danger because people are drinking and driving? And I know, like, people are like, oh no, I just had one drink, or there was food there, and all of, we tell ourselves all of these different things. Oh, I drunk 2 shots at 6 o'clock. It is now 12 o'clock. I'm fine. I get it, body metabolism. I get all of that, but the reality of it is you are still intoxicated, right? I told y'all a couple of weeks ago I was super excited when I found out they had a commercial for people who smoke and I don't know why I did that, people who smoke and drive, because I think that is something that is not talked about a lot, because there's a lot of people who be smoking while they be driving, and I just never it never dawned on me how dangerous that was, how dangerous it is to be intoxicated. Another thing, right? One day, um, I was reading a story about a man who had an OWI, right? And it wasn't because he was intoxicated, and it wasn't because he was drinking or smoking. He was sleepy. He was sleeping, and instead of pulling over, he was driving, and, he caused an accident. And I was just like, how many times was I sleepy and I was driving? So that triggered something in me. It's like, hey, when you're sleepy, just pull over and rest, or don't leave out until you've had some rest. I would quickly pull over and just be sleep. Put my defensive things up, and I would be sleep. I I want to say now in my life, Because you know, when you're younger, you live, you learn, you do stuff because you're trying to figure out your life. A lot of shit I feel like had someone said something to me, I probably would not have done because I'm that type of person. Like if I was when I was growing up, when I was seeing all the shit that I saw, like I've literally witnessed people get beat up, and I'm not the friend that just stand there and mind my business. I get it. We live in a different time. You got to mind your business. I'm that person that's gonna be like, I know the fuck you didn't, and I got the phone in my hand, like, okay, yes, this is happening right here, right now. Because in my mind, I think if you don't want to go to jail, you wouldn't be doing that. Am I wrong? I I don't think that you should do that. Like, I don't think that you should do that. So then, for me, when I see it happening, I remember I was at a gas station, and it was happening at a gas station. And no, I did not run up on the people's car because I don't run up on people's cars. I don't run up on people's situation. I will be at a distance, at a safe space. I will be at a safe distance, and I will make sure that the situation is resolved positively, where it doesn't result in, like, because things. If you've been watching the news or social media, things are resulting in really adverse ways right now. Um, that's part of the reason why I want to talk about trigger experiences. Like, what makes you angry? What makes you irritated? Sometimes people get irritated by a person talking a lot. Why does that irritate you? Some people get irritated by people who talk about the things that they have. Like, why does it irritate you? Are you jealous? Are you envious? Are you I didn't mean to put those two first, but are you interested in learning more about how they got it so that you can get it? Like, what is that thing? What is that thing that caused you to feel that way? Like, you ever been in a situation where you like you told someone no and they proceeded to do something anyways? Whether it's family, friends, cousins, brothers, aunties, uncles, co-workers, boss. You ever um I have so many there's so many things that I could just be like, hey, that's a trigger. That, like, I've been triggered, like I said, like smells, music, locations. I really believe that I feel that church is a trigger for me. Um it's definitely not it's definitely a trigger for me. Um so if you've ever wondered why, I will tell you. I've told this story on YouTube multiple times. I had my innocence stolen in an actual church. So, church for me does not have the same meaning as it may have for you. And at this point in my life, I'm okay with that. Um, oh, that felt good to say. I am okay with that. It's not like I'm not on a quest to find. I'm okay with that. I accept, I acknowledge, I am aware, and because it's a trigger for me, I don't go. Now you're probably like, well, what about your relationship with God? That's a whole nother subject for a whole nother time. Right now, we talking about triggers. I'm triggered. Can you tell I'm triggered right now? A little bit. A little bit. I don't know. Even talking about it, it's like, it's weird. It's weird to talk about situations that you experience, and then you're telling them to someone, and then I don't know if it works like this for you, but when I hear myself, Like it can live in my head. Like it lives in my head rent free for years. It lived in my head rent free. I had never talked about it, never said anything. Well, I did when I was like 12, 13. I said something. After that, it just lived in my head rent free. And then it was like, we're starting a journey of healing and self discovery. So it was like here at the forefront of my mind, and then it like came down to my mouth, and then it made it on the other side of my mouth. And then to hear myself say that, it was just like, holy shit, I haven't said that out loud in so long. And then I was triggered, and then I started smelling smells, like locations, like times, like all of these different things, like rush you. And then it's like, what do I do? What do I do? And now at my 42-year-old self, I sit with them. I sit with them and I tell myself, you are okay. You are in a safe place. And no one has that power over you. No one. You're probably watching this and you're like, I was just triggered the other day. My boss said something that made me think like I was a kid. There's times when we feel triggered and we don't acknowledge it because we just brush it off like, nah, it's cool. But the reality of it is not cool. And the more you allow shit to stack on top of it, one day it's gonna spill over. And the unfortunate thing is, I'm gonna say a large majority of the time it spills over. It spills over to people that didn't have shit to do with the initial trigger in the first place. Why? This is why I want to talk about triggering experiences. Like parents, like you get in a relationship with somebody and then a relationship doesn't work and you have kids together. So now it's like you look at your child and now they are a constant reminder of the person that you were once in love with or you had a situationship with. And now it's like you have a constant reminder. And that's not a bad thing. Some people like turn it into a bad thing. It's not a bad thing because you forget that you still have a child that you have yet to raise because now you have to deal with the heartbreak. You have to deal with the fact that you have to either co-parent or be a single mom. There's all these other factors, and then you forget that you have a child who still needs love, who still needs nurturing, who still needs care, who still needs guidance. I feel like a lot of parents, especially nowadays, if their child comes to them and talk about being that they were molested or a pedophile took advantage of them. I don't know if I could say pedophile, but I just said it twice in a row. It doesn't matter to me. But someone took advantage of them, and a lot of times parents don't want to hear that because they remember when they were taken advantage of and what it was like, and no one did anything, no one said anything. It was just swept under the rug. Uncle Pete still flipping barbecue. Tomorrow you're gonna go to the family picnic and you're gonna see the people that did the shit to you, and you just gonna put on a fake smile. No, I'm not saying you're gonna put on a fake smile. Tomorrow there's gonna be a barbecue, and you know how you feel about the people that you know at the barbecue. Don't go. Don't go. Choose yourself in this one moment. Yeah, there's Thanksgiving. Yeah, there's Christmas coming up. But I'm gonna tell you this, right? If if right now there's 4 months left, well, we in September, so there's October, November, December's left in 2022. If from 2020 until now you have not taken the time to evaluate your life, to like put it out, just put it all out, go from the time you were born or the time you can remember the farthest back all the way up until now, and just figure out like, okay, my life was great, my life was shitty, my life had a mixture of both, and figure out like, hey, I survived a global fucking pandemic, all of these different diseases. I survived inflation. I survived a fucked up job. I survived all of this shit just to say, well, that showed me how much shit I can take. That showed me how strong I am. No, fuck that. That showed you that it is time for you to use that as leverage to get to where you want to go. You've been in a messed up relationship. You've been cheated on after cheated on after cheated on. It's time to, one, press pause on relationships. Press pause on them. Because clearly, if the people around you, I be saying that, the people like, you trying to say like it's the people around the person's job. I'm not saying that it's their job, but I'm not going to be around somebody and see that they are struggling in relationships or jobs or anything. If I could see, and I say struggling, where if you've been in more than one relationship and you've gotten cheated on, there's something that needs to be addressed. There's something that needs to be addressed. If you hop in a relation, you in a relationship on Monday, get out of that relationship on Wednesday, you in another relationship, Friday you in a new relationship, and you frequently sharing these relationships, I'm going to say that there is something that needs to be addressed. And as your friend, I would say, hey, we need to sit down and talk. Let's go on a celibacy something. You know, like friends get together, like, girl, let's do this keto diet, girl. Or, hey, bro, wait, do guys do diets? I don't know. But they do like workout regimens or something. I don't know. I just was real stereotypical right there. But y'all know what I'm saying. Like, I would be that person. I would be that person and be like, hey, you know, you done been in 3 relationships this week, or you done been in 3 situationships this week. You don't see what's going on out here in this world. Like, STDs are real, like diseases are real. That's one. 2, I feel like you need some time to yourself. I feel like there's something you are either running away from. Again, these are just my personal opinions. I feel like there's something that you are running away from or trying to get away from. And at this point in 2022, I'm going to keep saying this. At this point, I think you should make the decision to stop running. Heal. Healing is a forever process. I will say it's a forever process because I don't know how you can actually be. I don't know how. Like, it's like, how does it get erased from your mind? It might be erased from your mind, but it's still in your body. Your body still remembers. You ever rode a bike and fell off? Your body remembers what it's like to fall, especially if you fall on a concrete and scrape something. Your body remembers. I'm talking right now, your body probably like, yeah, I remember that. I was 10 years old. I fell off my bike and skinned my whole leg up, skinned my knee up. Or you ever got your foot caught in the bike pedal? I don't know, back in the 80s, I think they were purposely making metal bike pedals. Why do we need metal bike pedals? You know how many times my leg got scratched up from a metal bike pedal? So when I would ride a bike, I would be really cautious. You ever got your foot caught in the spoke? Hi, honestly, Blue. I'm so happy that you joined me because I really do miss you. Like, you're an OG. Like, you're an OG. You were here like at the beginning when you know, we don't gotta go there, but you know, you were in the beginning. You ever you ever had a bird or an animal take food away from you? You ever been stung by a bee? Like, those, you probably like, oh, she being funny right now. No, I'm not being funny. That those are triggering experiences. Triggering. You ever had a birthday party that you had to share with somebody else? It's a triggering experience. Hi, I had a birthday party I had to share with somebody else. Real life, I told someone, I was like, you know, I was like 33, 32, 33 when I had my own birthday party. Yep. Because I don't remember any other ones where it was just me. I don't remember them. I could have had them, but I don't remember them. And I remembers. I remembers. I do remember having a birthday party, though. I do. With my name and another person's name on the cake. I do. But my own birthday party, I didn't remember it. I didn't experience it until I was in my 30s. And now I just celebrate by just being grateful. Grateful to be alive. Grateful to be triggered. I know that probably sounds weird, but I'm grateful for the triggers. I'm grateful for the triggers because they let me know that I am growing. Especially like since I've been going to therapy, it lets me know how much I have grown. I you know, when you have like old computers or old SD cards and stuff like that, and you're like looking through them, and it's like I'm cleaning off my old hard drive, and I'm just looking through, and I was like, oh shoot, I remember this time, and you smile and you all happy, and then you like fast forward into now, it's like, fuck that. It's still a part of me. It's still happy. It's still a happy moment. It's still cool. But then it's like, no, fuck that. Like you hurt me. I was hurt. I'm not hurt anymore, but I was hurt. I started to think like September the 15th, I will be single for 2 years. You probably like people be single every day. They do. But for me, that's a huge thing because the way I became single, the things that happened since I've been single, um, the whole process of it has been amazing. At the start of the process, I did not know how it was going to go. No clue. I knew. I'm gonna tell you, like when you start to acknowledge things in your life, you start to understand things, right? So you ever experience a breakup, right? You kind of know what happens with a breakup. You kind of, or you should pay attention to what happens in a breakup. When you break up with somebody, y'all no longer talk to each other. Y'all no longer. Sometimes you don't have the same friend circles. Sometimes they return things that belong to you. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes you have to get rid of the things that they left, and sometimes you hold on to them. I spent a good majority of the time like processing and letting go, and like y'all been here with me, letting go of like material things, and then I'm cleaning up, and then I clean up regular, but something was like, you need to check these cabinets in my kitchen. Like there's like lower cabinets. Now I don't go in the cabinets in the kitchen because I thought they were all painted shut, so I didn't even open them. So I go and I look in the cabinet and I'm like, oh my God, there's so many Jordans in here. I don't wear Jordans, but I was like, there's so many Jordans in here. And then I'm like, oh, uh oh, hold on, hold, hold on. I don't know what that was about, but yeah, I'm gonna leave that turned off. I don't know. Did y'all see two of my lights just went off? I don't know what that was about. Maybe it's this cord. It's probably the cord I have them plugged into. But anyways, so I have a bunch of Jordans, and they're like, "Well, what are you gonna do with them? Like, you should sell them. You should do this and take them here." And I was like, "That's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea." Of course, I asked my niece because she loves Jordans. So I was like, "Hey, do you, what size you wear?" Of course, she don't wear the size of the Jordans. Okay, my light. I definitely think it's this cord, so I'm gonna unplug it. I'm gonna just unplug it and leave it there. We got enough light going on right here. Um, but it was a real moment. Like, what do I do? What do I do? I'm like, I remember when we got these. I remember how excited. So you have all of those memories. The memories never go anywhere. Like, think about it, right? You remember your grandparent? Like, I had a grandmother. I had a grandmother and a grandfather. The crazy thing is, like, you know, you have a mother, so you have a grandmother, grandfather. You have a father, you have a grandmother, grandfather. So I only remember my grandmother on my mother's side and my grandfather on my father's side. That's all I remember. But I remember them like I remember them. I could tell you, like, I've been wanting to go fishing, right? Um, the memory of going fishing was triggered One day I was just meditating and I was just like, I want to find like a different space or a different like place to meditate. And I was like, oh, it would be dope to go on like the bank where there's water and just like I'm saying the bank, but you know, like where there's water and the water comes up, like it would be dope. And I was like, oh, and then I was triggered. I was like, I remember being a little girl riding on the boat with my grandfather, and he's making me eat this fish. And I was like, did you just pull this out the water? Like, I remember asking that because I didn't know that there was a thing as smoked fish. I just saw we on a boat and you're talking about fishing and you just put a fish in a thing and then you giving me fish. So I'm like, I'm eating raw fish, but it was actually smoked. Now, as an adult now, I know it's smoked fish. And so it's like, I just want to go fishing. I just envision fishing being so relaxing. Like, I'm just there, got my rod or my reel. I don't know. What is it called? I'm going to figure it all out. Of course, I'm going to figure it out. But cast, the cast my net, whatever it is. I feel like doing that and just sitting there and just being in nature and then catching a fish possibly. I really want to catch a fish. I think like that would be dope. That would be like that would be like when you're little and you're like, man, I want to catch a fish. And they try and then you catch that little bitty fish and everybody's all excited. Ooh, they caught a fish. No, I want to like a catch. I want to catch like a salmon. I love salmon. But I would like to catch a salmon. I feel like that would be, and I don't think, I'm saying right now, I don't think I would eat it, but I think it's the process of just like catching it and then releasing it. I don't know. I just been thinking about all kinds of stuff, all kinds, especially when you turn on the news and it's like people are being unalived everywhere. And I'm especially touched by the fact that parents are unaliving their kids. Um, And this is part of the reason why I say that people should go to therapy because I feel like people have unresolved issues or situations from their childhood or situations from their adulthood, teenagehood, their lives that has never been resolved. We weren't taught how to express our anger. Like we weren't even given the option to express our feelings. We weren't given that option. You remember getting a whooping and they're like, shut up. And it's like, wait a minute. How are you whooping me? And you want me to, you're whacking my skin and you want me to stop crying. That never made sense. Never made sense to me. Where you're yelling at somebody and you're asking them a question at the same time. You're yelling at them to be quiet. And at the same time, you're asking them a question. It doesn't make sense. Like if you think about it, a lot of the disciplines we received in our life, it never made sense. It made sense to our parents because they were the parent and they were doing it, but it never really made sense. It never made sense. I feel like a lot of the disciplines we received in our life was because that's what people knew to do. Like, could you imagine, like, if you fucked up, like, say you royally fucked up, and your parent was like, "Hey, sit down. Let's sit down at this table. Let's talk about what you did. Here's what you did. Can you tell us why you did it?" Now you have to say, "Well, I did it because," and then they could say, "Hey, you see how what you did in turn, this is the result," and then you're looking at it like, "Okay, I see what you're saying. I understand. So what are you gonna do now?" See how that like works? I feel like that has always worked for me. Being able to talk about, the fuck up and then like for alternatives and find resources for like, okay, you were feeling like this, so you can always come and talk to me or you can always do this or, find the resources. But I feel like there's a lot of angry people and a lot of people who haven't had the opportunity or know that it is okay to cry. So if you're watching this, I want to let you know it's okay to cry. It's okay. I know you probably feel like you weak or people judging you. At this point, you survived a global fucking pandemic, uh, Ebola, polio, everything in your fucking life. Who gives a fuck what other people think? I know somebody at home is watching this or wherever you are. You like, it's easier said than done. The reality of it is the moment that you make up in your mind that you're no longer going to do something, it's already done. That's just my opinion. I said I'm no longer going to drink and drive. I actually said I'm no longer going to drink, and I haven't had a drink in I don't know how long. You know why? Because again, when you understand triggering experience, like you understand the thing that triggers you, right? Okay, I'm triggered. Why am I triggered? How did I become triggered? What made me trigger? Like when did I discover that it was a trigger? Like you ask yourselves the who, what, where, why, how, and when. Like you probably heard those in English class and you was like, oh, I'm never going to use this. But if you ask yourself that, right? So I would ask myself, like, okay, why does these smells trigger me? So that's exactly, I could pinpoint exactly why they trigger me. I've given it to Jesus. I've given it to everybody, and it's never been taken away. It's still there. It's just I have to learn how to not freak out every time it happens. I remember for a minute I was going to travel, and like I've traveled, like I'm well traveled. So when I started having panic attacks when I would get on the plane, I knew something was wrong. I've never had a panic. I would hop on the plane. I would, hey, it was nothing for me. But I started having panic attacks. Like I will real life. Whew, I remember one time our real life had a whole breakdown. Like I was just like, I gotta get off the plane. You gotta let me out. I had the air. I called myself like I knew like okay, this is how I calm myself down. You know the little thing with the air. I turn the air on. I breathe. I have my music playing. I take my shoes off. You know, it's like grounding myself. But I could not control it one time. Like one time, I don't know. It was just so overwhelming for me, and I was just like, I don't even know what to do. And they're closing the doors, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I'm about to die. In reality, I wasn't about to die, but that's what it felt like. And I told myself, I said, I'm not gonna keep having these experiences. I'm not gonna keep having these experiences. And now I'm saying that not to say that I'm just I don't have panic attacks anymore. I'm just gonna say that they are not as extreme as they once were. Like I want to say control them now. I want to say when I understood that it was happening. Before I didn't know what it was. I was just like, oh, I'm about to die. That was all I kept saying. I was about to die. But reality, it was a panic attack, and it was because my body did not feel safe. And so it was like, hey, you got to pay attention to us. And then so now it's like, if I have, um, so now like it's like since I've been in the house, I'm saying since I've been in the house, but it's I kind of feel like I've always been this way my entire life. I just pay more attention to it now. But large crowds of people, not even large crowds, I say like places that have like 10 or more, and I'm stretching it by 10. I want to say three or more people. I'm so serious. But I just feel weird. I feel weird. I have that like, ooh, and now it's just like, no, you're okay. You're safe. And at the first sign that we don't feel like this is the environment for us, we will leave. And I calm down. I'll be good. And it's like my body is like, okay, we need to make sure that you in tune with us, and oh, we in tune. Okay, we good. We gonna have a good time. Real life. That's how I've been. Not lately. Not in the last 2 years. I haven't had those, but previously, oh, I had to tell myself like, hey, what is going on with you? You love flying. You love traveling. Vegas is like second home. So when I was in Vegas, it was like I don't know why I'm having so many panic attacks, but I understood now. Now, of course, I understand. I understand why I have them. That's how I was able to say church is a trigger for me. And I try to explain that to people, and I just because they don't have the ability to look from my point of view. I like the way I just put that. They don't have the ability to look from my point of view, so they don't. They don't get it. They're just like, oh, Jesus, he could do. I'm not saying that he can. I'm just saying he hasn't. So I need to find an alternative. And my alternative was therapy. And it has been helping me. It has definitely been. Y'all see my light flicker. I'm like, okay, now don't you start flickering. Because then we know we got a really serious problem. Because you're not even plugged in. But, anyways, yeah. Understanding your trigger, what triggers you, is important. It's really important. You ever go to a cousin's house and you're telling your mom you don't want to go to your cousin's house, and then she don't understand why? She need a babysitter. She trying to go out, or she trying to go to work an extra shift, and you know what happened at your cousin's house, and you like, now you triggered. Yeah, families are a huge source of trigger. People might not say it, but I'll say it. Families are a huge source of trigger, whether it's your immediate family, whether it's your, like your mom and siblings, or it's like your grandparents and your uncles and cousins, or like, yeah, families are triggers. You ever heard this? What happens in this house stays in this house? Trigger. Somebody beat you up or take advantage of you, or y'all don't got no food, or your parents abuse alcohol or drugs, and you're not able to say anything. It's a trigger, because now you're suppressing your emotions, and now it's just like, it is. Because you think about it, right? Think about how many people that have been experienced trauma in their household and never talked about it, because what happened here stays here. Think about that. Think about the fear of like, oh, I'm gonna tell on my Uncle Pete, or I'm gonna tell on my Auntie Susie, or my cousin Junior, and the family gonna be destroyed. It's amazing how we have those perspectives, but we don't even think about the fact that we are going to be destroyed. Like, we are destroyed. Like, we will no longer be the same. That's why um I was I'm about to wrap it up in a minute, but I wanted to talk about the whole, video that's going around or whatever, right? Now, these are my opinions, and you are able to have your opinions. We're here to have a nurturing conversation about it. I um I understand everyone's like, oh, they could have found a different way to do that, or oh, they need to be canceled, or oh, whatever, file a lawsuit. I totally get all of that, but I have questions. Now, I'm not saying that you can answer them, but I have questions. Now, as someone who has experienced sexual abuse, um, I have a question. Like, how long ago was this video created? And that's a good question for me, because it is alleged that the mother is Tiffany Haddish's friend. And for me, here's why, I work in the entertainment field. So here's why this bothers me, right? Sometimes parents aren't able to put themselves in a position where they can win. So they utilize the other assets that they have, which are their kids. So they put their kids in predicaments where they will have that leg up. If you ever paid attention to many of the kids who are on Disney or Nickelodeon, and the things that they say, it's their parents. Like, I didn't want to do that, but their parents. And then you ever notice how many of them had to like be emancipated? I think that's what it is, from their parents. And they had to set up trust funds because, or we can even go as recent as to the latest with Mr. Robert Kelly. I said all that to say that sometimes parents put their kids in situations. I'm going to say sometimes people have good intentions, I feel like that's a little stretch, but I'm gonna say it. Sometimes people have good intentions, and sometimes people are only thinking about themselves and how they can get ahead. Now, I didn't watch the full video. I did watch a snippet of a video, and I cringed a little bit. And then when I saw the part, well, be careful who watches your child, I was like, oh, I totally agree. I totally agree with that. That I get it. I get all the shock value. I get all of that. But the reality of what they were saying is real. Because aunties, uncles, sisters, brothers, cousins, pastors, evangelists, mentors, social workers, PO officers, teachers, teachers. All of these people have taken advantage of people. And these are people that we trust. You trust your auntie. You trust your grandmama watching your child. You trust your cousins. Come on over and babysit. You trust those people. You trust your new boo. That's why you let them watch your kids. We trust. And in reality, shit be happening to kids, adults, shit be happening to people, and we never talk about it. And many of us have that. Hey, honestly, I don't even have any kids, but let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. We definitely could talk. We definitely could talk. I don't even have kids, but I'm gonna tell you, I watch every fucking thing, and I'm gonna say like a lot of things, so many things trigger me when it comes to kids and adults in the way that their interactions be. I be triggered as hell, and I be real vocal. Now I be real vocal. The people around you could tell you how vocal I be. So fucking vocal. It's a no for me. Cause what, like I said at the beginning, what I'm not going to do, I know the effects or how being sexually abused affected me. And if you are somebody who's watching this or listening to this and you've been sexually abused, you know what it felt like. So if you have a child, honestly, I totally understand. If you have a child, you don't want them to experience that. Like life in and of itself is already gonna throw some curveballs, especially if you're black, especially if you're a young African American male or African American woman or a person of color, period, or just a human being. Life is gonna be hard. It is, because you already have so many things against you. But for parents or adults to like inflict harm on a child, a teenager, fucking another human being, it's a no for me. I would tell a person in a minute, I would dial 911. I don't give a fuck if you my mama, brother, sister, cousin. I don't know. They get paid to handle people like you. That's their job, to serve and protect. Right now, I don't feel protected, so I'm going to call. If I see anything, I'm definitely going to address it. And I try to address it in the most calmest, respectfulest way. But I don't play about kids. I don't play about kids. I don't have kids, but I don't play about anybody's kid. I don't, because I know how it affects. And while I wasn't out here, like I know people who got, assaulted, and they went on the path where they was smashing any and everybody that they could smash. I know people who unalived themselves because they couldn't deal with the weight of it. I know people who are full blown alcoholics or who do drugs. I've seen all of the different things, and for me, I'm the type of person, I don't want the people behind me to have to experience that. If they were touched, I want you to talk to me about it. Let's see how we could go to therapy. I'll go to group therapy with you. Let's get some help so we don't keep passing on these generational things to the next generations. There's no fucking way that, honestly, Blue, I'm just gonna use you because you're here. There's no fucking way that a lot of the shit that you experience in your life, your son should be experiencing. I feel like if people feel like, say you grew up in a family and your family ain't shit. Your family ain't shit. You know your family ain't shit. And people be like, that's your mama, so you should do this. Sometimes mothers just ain't shit. Fathers just ain't shit. Sisters and brothers just ain't shit. Sometimes people just ain't shit. And I'm going to be somebody in your life that'll tell you, you don't have to tolerate that. You don't. If you know that your mama ain't shit, why the fuck would you take your child over there to your mama who ain't shit? Especially if they haven't shown you any signs that they are changing, that they are learning from the mistakes that they made, that they are growing, that there is a sign of a forgiveness or anything. It's the whole mentality of that's my family, so I have to do it. Fuck family. I'm saying that. Like my family, I'm not saying fuck my family because we talk. We definitely clear the air. We definitely do all of that. But I'm telling you, at some point, you have to say fuck family. If you and your cousins or your sisters and brothers can sit around and talk about more than one person in your family who has been molested, fuck that family. You don't want to say it, I'll say it. Fuck that family because that right there is some generational shit that needs to be talked about, like real life. Because now there's a lot of people affected, especially, but we don't want to talk about this, especially when young men be getting abused in the family by men and women. We ain't gonna talk about that one because we see it every day. We see it all the time. We see grown men out here smashing through people, and they get mad when you start questioning their sexuality or questioning, their manhood. Then they get mad. But we already know, boo. We know you've been touched. We know you've been touched. It's like people who've been touched. We could see, like, like I was telling people like they be like, oh, you have the gay eye, and I was like, what the fuck is a gay eye? It's like, oh, you can see other gay people. I was like, that's a real thing. I didn't know it was a real thing. I just know if somebody is gay or not. And I mean, a lot of time they be like, oh, you can't tell. This is a crazy thing, right? Sometimes I feel like if more people who like if more men who came out and was like, I was abused as a child, male or female, and I went through this experience, I think that more men will be comfortable with understanding sexuality. Right, you will be hearing to talk about, oh, there's a lot of download. Those are the people that are like confused. Like, I'm not saying they're confused, like they don't know, but I'm saying like they have these feelings, but society says, or their parents, their fathers, their cousins, or whatever, say they have to be like this. They got to be macho. They beating up on the young boys and make them tough and all that shit. It's a no. If more men came out and said, this happened to me, like told their stories, I think that we will have less angry people. I think when we have more families than we do like branches of it. Like some people was like, oh, the government tries to. I get it. Like I could see that. I could see how that happened. But ultimately, it's the other person's. Like if you were a family, it's the other person's decision to leave or stay. It's the other person's. It's like I'm in a relationship with you, you in a relationship with me. If I decide I want to leave, I'm going to be, me personally, I will look at you and be like, hey, this isn't working for me anymore. This is what happened. This is where I feel. And I will go on about my business. But if you ever paid attention to like when people break up or how people break up, people break up over voicemails, on text. I found out on social media. I mean, they don't do it like that no more. They just be out with their newborns like, oh yeah, I thought you knew when I didn't call you, like you knew what was going on. Think about it, right? If more people talked, like if the family sat down and was like, you know what, we know what Uncle Pete did was fucking wrong. We sent Uncle Pete to get some help, or we gonna pay for y'all to go to therapy, or acknowledge the fact that Uncle Pete was wrong. That shit was wrong. You know how many people hire babysitters and the babysitters was touching their kids? Like, if we acknowledge that, but I want to say, like, sometimes I feel like parents feel guilty. Parents feel guilty. They feel like they failed as a parent when their child comes and say, so and so touched me, because I know in their mind, they're like, oh, I did everything I could to protect you. But then when you say, like, somebody touched me and I was abused, it's hard for you to comprehend that, because now it's like, well, I was at work. I had to work. I had to put a roof over your head. I had to make sure you had clothes. I had to do this, instead of hearing what your child just told you. Someone took advantage of them. someone took advantage of them, and I don't want to go to the family barbecue. I'm saying this because tomorrow is Labor Day, and Uncle Pete probably still gonna be slathering the ribs, or Auntie Susan gonna be over there stirring the punch, throwing a little Hennessy and Taka vodka in there every now and again. I hope she's not doing that. But anyways, so you gonna go to the family barbecue because you don't want them to be like, "Oh, you acting funny." Fuck it. You shouldn't care. If your child does not feel comfortable going somewhere, do not force them to go. Do not. You ever wonder like how come your child like you were like, "Oh yeah, they used to be excited to go somewhere and then they not excited to go to their place anymore." I'm not saying that they were sexually abused, but I'm saying there is something that needs to be addressed. Why, like, your child loves basketball, now they don't want to play basketball anymore? Because coaches are touching people too. I'm not saying that your kid's basketball coach is touching them. I'm just saying we need to be talking more to our children about being touched. I remember when we was growing up, they had all kinds of conversations about being touched. They show little picture books, the birds and the bees. They was talking to us about everything. So that's how I knew, like, okay, yeah, you're not supposed to touch me there. I shouldn't have never been touched there. So I was able to talk about it because somebody talked to me about it. I don't feel like we're talking about it these days. Now it's like parents got to work 2 and 3 jobs. Single moms got to, that's not to fault you. I'm just saying, like, we're not talking about it. And grandparents is out kicking it with their kids. So we don't got nobody that's really caring about people nowadays. I do. Hi, my name is Chelle. I have a Nurturing Conversation podcast because I want to talk about shit that people are not talking about. Those are triggering experiences. Then you ever hear a parent like, "I will fuck a person up if they did that to my child," and then it happened to your child, and then it's like, okay, now what do I do? Like, it's the reality of like that would never happen to my child because I'm always there, I always keep an eye on it, and then you find out that it's somebody close. Because what we don't talk about is that, especially in people of color, the colored people community. That sounded so weird to say, but the thing that we don't talk about is that a high amount of people are molested by people that they know, sometimes their own family members. But we're not going to talk about that because then we have to talk about the dynamics of our family, and our family may be prominent, and we don't want people to look at our families that way. But some prominent families people already know what be going on in y'all families. I'm gonna just tell y'all, people already know. You might not put it on social media, but people whisper, people talk all the time. You worried about somebody judging you? Listen, they judge Jesus. I'm doing a whole little series in this coming week. I'm gonna do where I tell the Bible stories from my perspective. And they talked about Jesus. Do you know that they put Jesus and they put a murderer, and it was like, who do you want us to free? And then people was like, free that murderer. Jesus is the no. This dude done healed leopards. He done healed relationships. He done saved a woman from being stoned. He done did all kinds of stuff. And they wanted the murderer to be free. I was literally talking to someone. I said, when did humanity leave? You remember a time where people couldn't touch women or children, especially not the elderly? We couldn't touch none of that. You wouldn't dare think about, no. Now, people touching elderly, women, kids, they touching everybody. They don't even care. They have no respect, regard, or whatever you want to put there. They have no. Humanity is just like, it's not even there. People don't even care. Real life, I've been saying, like, they should have like a big group. Like, I wish like the celebrities will like do, this is just a wish. I wish like the celebrities will like come together and be like, hey, we're going to have this big mental health conference or session or something like that, and offer therapy service or therapy sessions or whatever. If we see like Jay-Z going to therapy, or like Lil Wayne going to therapy, or just talking to somebody else about his issues or whatever, like seeing that stuff, right? Like, think about it. When I was growing up in the 80s, like, everybody was like, I want to be like the dude on the corner that had the cars and the clothes and all the women, and that's what they saw, so that's what they wanted to be. It's like me. I was like, I want to be a pediatrician and I want to do this. And that's what I saw. Like, I lived in the hood, but I went to predominantly white school. So I was seeing everything. Like, oh, I could be anything. I woke up one day, was like, I'm going to start a podcast with Nurturing Conversations. And I actually tested it out for a minute. And then I was just like, hey, this is a Nurturing Conversation podcast. It was formerly Sunday Night Dinners and Convos. And it's still kind of that. But it's like we have to give people resources to determine or alternatives. There we go. We have to give them alternatives until how they respond. If every time someone doesn't do what you want them to do, you get angry and you feel like you got to huff and puff or yell or use your hands. Someone needs to show you an alternative. Go try kickboxing or boxing or exercise or meditate or something like that. I just think that we should offer more people alternatives. I think that parents or adults should allow kids space to cry or to feel. Like I remember like seeing people get a whooping. I got a whooping one time in my life. I'm 42. I got a whooping one time in my life, and um, I could never understand the concept of whack, shut up, whack, whack, shut up. It doesn't make sense. You can't hit my skin. If you hit my skin, you pinch me. It's gonna hurt. So when you hurt, you cry. You see how I just did that? But when adults hurt, they don't cry. They just feel like, okay, I gotta get back on the saddle and get back to riding instead of saying, no, I am hurt. I need to cry. I need to let it go. I need to find my way through it, go on the other side of it, not forget about it and just let it. No, I need to go through it. I remember there was a period of time I was running from every fucking thing. I was just escaping. I realized when I can't wait. I'm so excited about Thursday. I'm so looking forward to it. Um, I realized when I was growing up, right, I stopped talking because I was telling any and everybody who would listen what happened to me, right? And nobody did anything. Nobody. So I stopped talking for a long time. I actually hated the sound of my voice because I was like, maybe I'm not. Maybe people don't take me seriously. Maybe people don't think that it's like happening for real. Or and then it was like, you fast and you entice them, and they were saying all these different things. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, I am a 10, 11, 12, 13-year old. I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. So how you're trying to spin it on me instead of. So I just stopped talking. And then when all of this shit happened, I had to go to vocal therapy. And in vocal therapy, I just realized um, she had me do an exercise. And while I was doing the exercise, I'm like bawling. And she's like, are you okay? And I said, no. I told you I was going to be tears. I said, no, because I just realized why I hated the sound of my voice and why I stopped talking and why I'm not in a space where I knew I would always be. Like I just had a real life moment. And like right, so like when you're triggered, right? Um you have to allow those feelings and emotions to come, and you have to comfort yourself and say you're okay, you're in a safe space. I don't have any shoes on right now, so I'm grounding. But just the thought that I thought to turn my voice off because people wouldn't listen to me or they weren't hearing me. And I was young when I made that decision, and then I was on autopilot after I made the decision. I wouldn't repeat myself. I wouldn't. If somebody asked me to repeat myself, I would get angry, I would get irritated, agitated, and that's because you're not going to hear me anyway. So why would I tell you? Even in the career that I do, in the beginning, I was like, I'm talking to these artists and they're not even listening to me. And then I had to switch that and I had to say, these artists will hear me. And it's not going to take them being presented with a lawsuit or a cease and desist. They will hear me before it even gets to that point. And that shift, even that small little thing, you might say that, ooh, that small little thing shifted something in me. So I'm sitting there, I'm bawling, I'm crying. She's like, well, tell me about it. And I'll tell her. And as I'm talking about, I remember like the day, the time, the smells, everything. I remember when I was like, fuck it, I'm just not going to talk. I real life stopped talking for 2 years. I didn't get therapy or anything. No therapy. Nothing. And I'm saying all this because if you have a child or somebody in your life is just like silence or they not their normal self, like normal, like what is normal for a person, check up on them. I know we like to call or FaceTime or send a DM or whatever, but or I will prefer a FaceTime if you have my number. FaceTime me. I'm still old school with the communication. I like that. If you know where I live, pull up. I didn't tell people to pull up to my house and they be thinking I'm trying to say fight. No, I don't want you to. I don't fight. Let's just say that. I already told y'all to call them people in a minute. I don't even care. But check on your strong people. Check on your people. Period. Like if you are a parent, talk to your kids about every fucking thing. Open the doors of communication. That will give them the opportunity to come to you. They will feel comfortable. A lot of parents will be like, my child don't talk to me about everything. Or you have those parents that be like, yeah, my child talks to me about everything. And they don't even know. They don't even know. Like there's parents who have adult kids and they don't even know what the fuck done happened to their adult kids. Our real life, when people come over, I be like, hey, this is a safe space. You don't got to worry about no judgments or nothing over here. And people used to be at my house all the time. They don't be at my house since COVID, but people used to be at my house all the time. And we would have deep conversations. And they was like, hi, Trish. They was like, you should have went to school for therapy. I was like, no, I couldn't have did that. I couldn't have been a therapist. I couldn't have. And I say that because I feel like I can't watch too much TV. I can't be on social media for too long because I start to feel like, I don't know if you know what I'm saying, but I start to feel, and I can't have those feelings and try to and do business, and I be overwhelmed. I be overwhelmed, especially when it comes to kids. And like, if you are a parent and you feel like your child, you're becoming overwhelmed, find a resource. Like a resource could be the Boys and Girls Club or something that gives you a little time. Like if they have a godparent, a godparents too. We're going to talk about that for right now. If you are a parent and you have designated someone as your child's godparent, I want you to reconsider that. I'm not saying that they are not fit to be your child's godparent. I'm just going to say reconsider that because as I understand godparents, they are there to take care of your child or to make sure that your child grows and they are knowledgeable and all of those things. So then think about it, right? If they're not doing the job of a godparent, you can fire them, right? Or I don't want to say fire because it's like, oh, my sister is my child's god. But you can like relieve them of their duties. Because the people that you surround your child with should be people that can instill in them positive things, that can show them things where they could see outside. I used to wonder, like, people be like, man, I gotta get out, I gotta get out the hood, I gotta get out, I gotta get out, and that's all you heard people talk about was gotta get out, get out, gotta get out. I didn't really understand it because I was literally going out of the hood every day. Like I said a couple of Sundays ago, like I went to see Wicked, I went to see Broadway shows because I was going to school. So I didn't get it until I got older, and then it dawned on me like some people never left the block, like rural life. Well, they would go to like Chicago, or they would go to like Racine, Kenosha, but like they never been outside of, technically those things are like Chicago is outside of Wisconsin, but they never really been outside of Wisconsin, outside of their neighborhoods. So many people have never been on a plane because they're afraid. So many people will never take a train because they're afraid. Some people will never get on a boat. I remember my first time I went on a cruise, I was really terrified, but I was like, I like new adventures. I like that's a good, that's what I consider like, oh, I like this. Because I'm going to learn so much. I'm going to experience so much. Like, y'all going to see on my YouTube, I'm going to start sharing um, Throwback Thursdays. I'm going to start sharing, like, many of the trips that I went on. I'm just going to start sharing clips and pieces of it. But, I want more of those happy triggers. Like, I was cleaning off my hard drive and I found a photo of me and my grandmother at my 8th grade graduation. And you see how I just started smiling here. I my grandmother died when I was 15. And like they don't tell you like, okay, you will have memories. Yeah, you will have memories. But like for a long time I could not remember what my grandmother's voice sound like. Like I could hear her, but I couldn't like I couldn't hear what it sounded like. And then I saw that picture and I remembered that day and I remember what she said to me and I couldn't do anything but smile. Like happy. So I know I've talked a lot about like negative triggers, but there are happy triggers also. There's happy triggers. Like you look at your baby and it's just like, oh my God, you came out of me. And then you watch them as they grow up. Like I don't know if y'all been watching or how long y'all been watching me, like the channel period. Um, so Jamela, who was like little, is now about to be 15. 15. Kira is 7. Mateo is 5. Mateo was an actual. So Mateo, Cam, and Bobo were actual babies. Actually, Kira was a baby on the channel too, and she's 7 now. So when I look back at the videos of them while they're babies, and then I look at them like now, and they're like, "Titi, are we juicing? Titi, are we working out? Titi, can I say hello, beautiful people?" And they're like, "Titi, can we paint? All of these different things." Like it's like it's so heartwarming. It's so like I can't even put in the words. All I have is tears. I literally just I talked to Jamela. I don't know if she's still in here, but I had talked to Jamela before I came on, and I was just telling her like, you remember when Cameron was like a little baby? I don't like parents. Y'all probably do this all the time. Like Cam was a little baby. He was so chunky. He was so cute, and now he'll be 4 on the 26th. And I'm looking at him like he's like, Titi, I pump a gas, and I'm like, oh yes, you can pump the heat. He of course I let him put the thing in the thing, but I let him pump the gas. He's opening doors and he's getting me stuff to drink. And you're probably like, well, that's what kids do. But for me, it's just like he's 3, about to be 4. Like I woke up this morning. He's like, he was about to go out the door. He said, "TT," and he hugged me. He said, "I see you later." And for me, maybe it's just because I just had a major surgery 5 fucking months ago. But all of these interactions for me is like I am so grateful for them. Even fucking being here to talk to y'all, I am so fucking grateful for that because even if I can still be able to talk, I am fucking grateful. I definitely I definitely was triggered a month ago. Um was it July? I think it was in July. I said the beginning of August. Um After I had the surgery, if you just new here, you just catching up, let me catch you up real fast. So March 18th, 2022, earlier this year, 5 months ago, I had a major level 1 trauma surgery. And for 12, I had to they believed, or they said my cancer antigen was high, so I had to determine what I was going to do. Of course, that's like chemo or, whatever other I was going to do. I was going to the cancer center. I was doing all of that. I had the surgery, had to wait 12 days. They told me I do not have cancer. So, I'm like, my throat feels a little, but they had to intubate me. So I'm like, okay, cool. And then I realized it started to get worse. Like I felt something in there. I keep doing this because there's definitely something in there. I felt something in there, and I'm like, I need to see somebody. So I go to my doctor. He's like, you need to see the ear, nose, and throat specialist. June, I go and see the ear, nose, and throat specialist. Sometimes that passed because I'm still, I'm healing or whatever. So, um, June, I go see the ear, nose, and throat specialist. He's like, hey, you have a polyp on your left vocal cord. And it was like the side. You ever get bit by a bug and it's like a little bump. So it's like a little bump. And he was like, okay, go to vocal therapy. And, sometimes vocal therapy makes it smaller. Sometimes, vocal therapy. He gave me so I'm going to vocal therapy. And while I'm going to vocal therapy, I'm like, no, something is wrong. Something is definitely wrong. Like I feel the thing when it comes on the other side of the vocal folds. Trigger warning. I'm telling you now. So, trigger warning. Um, I'm not trying to purposely trigger you, but I just want to, it's how I describe it to people. So I feel it come on the other side of the vocal folds, right? Let me see if y'all can see that. So that thing right there, that little red thing in the back of my throat. Um, I was telling them that I felt like it got bigger, and the ear, nose, and throat doctor was like, no, it wouldn't do that. It would probably get smaller. And I was like, no, it got bigger. So of course he pull out the long tube and everything, numb my nose or whatever. He go in there, and y'all, I don't know if y'all heard the sound on the I'm laughing now because I was not laughing then. But when I'm looking at it. So there's a TV right here. It's not a TV, it's like a monitor right here. And then he's going in my nose, and we're both looking at it. And then we both just stop, and we're looking at the screen. And he look at me, I look at him. And then we look at the screen. He said, "Did I take a picture of it last time?" I said, "Yes, you did." And it was like the size of a little bug bite bump. And he's like, "Well, you're past steroids, so the only other option is surgery." So I needed some time. So, I mean, I just had a major surgery. They cut me from the rooter to the tutor. Anyways, no, they cut me from the middle of my stomach down. So I'm not, tell y'all what I said. I said, fuck surgery. I'm never having a surgery ever again. I'm just going to become a marijuana expert, is what I said. That's what I said. I'm laughing now because I don't smoke, but I just said that's what I'm gonna do. After I had the first surgery, I said I'm never having surgery ever again. So then here's this guy telling me you have to have a surgery in order to remove it. So I go for 2 weeks. I'm walking around with, okay, I gotta have another fucking surgery. So I go to my last voice therapy appointment, and I'm telling her, like, it's big or whatever. And she's like, well, you should try to see. And she gave me this laryngologist name, and she's like, he's a world renowned, or he's one of the best, I'll say. And he works at a hospital here. She said, you should really try to get in to see him. And she said, the thing about him is he's a vocalist. Now, y'all know I sing on Tuesdays or Saturday nights. I also work on music. So I am a singer songwriter. So for me, it was like, I need to go talk to this man before I make a decision on surgery, because this ear, nose, and throat doctor is like, well, it appears to be benign. I just told you I had a whole thing with cancer earlier this year. So it appears to be benign, but we won't really know unless we cut it out. And he was like, I can't promise you that if we cut it out, that it's not going to grow back. That don't work for me. So I need to go see this other guy. So I see him on Thursday, and I'm like, I need to know. And him being a vocalist, I need to know how is it going to affect me. So I call, get a referral, going to see the other doctor. I tell them like even now I feel like it's gotten a lot bigger than that which is on there because now my voice get now my voice I'm sorry, it's so weird and so I'm laughing because I'm weirded out. But y'all say I have to keep doing that because I feel it comes in. And he's like, oh, that's a good thing that it's flimsy because if it was solid, I was like, I don't think any of this is a good thing for me. So after I went to my vocal therapist, she's like, ask about the procedure. So she stopped calling it a surgery, I guess because she realized I have like a breakdown when it comes to surgery. I told you I was triggered. So she started calling and like, ask how the procedure is going to go. So I went back. I'm talking to the ear, nose, and throat doctor. So in my mind, I'm thinking like, you just stuck this thing in my nose. We're looking at it. That's all you have to do. Like the advancements in technology has this tube with a laser or scissors that you could just cut it off or clap. Or, in my mind, I'm thinking they got this. All the advancements in technology. This man said, no, I should tell you, I got this. Or he said, we can't tell if it was irritated from being intubated or it was already there and it was irritated from intubation or it was just from intubation. So in my mind, I'm like, I didn't have this before I had a surgery. So I said, well, how does the procedure work? I just told y'all he said, no, ma'am, we have to put you to sleep. We're going to tilt your neck back like this, stick something down. I said, this motherfucker don't even understand what he just told me. I told him the first time when I saw him, I said, I'm not doing no fucking surgery. I just told you all this happened because I got intubated in my mind. So all of this happened because I got intubated because I didn't have it before I got intubated. So now you want to put me to sleep again and intubate me again to remove the thing that got there from the first time I was intubated. I said it's a no for me. And that's when I asked for a second opinion. And so on Thursday I'll be going for my second opinion because I don't understand why you gotta put me to sleep to go back. I'm totally triggered. I'm triggered again by just talking about it. I don't understand it. And then I'm like, fuck surgery. And now it's like, it's interfering with my ability to talk and on some occasions breathe. And so that was one of the main concerns about it. And I'm just like, now I have to fucking consider another fucking surgery. And I don't know how my voice is going to be. So if you see me making a bunch of fucking videos, just know that's why I'm doing it. Because I don't know how my voice is going to be after that. Of course, I'm believing for the positive. I am just being mindful where if I can't, I'm going to have enough videos to, carry me out, carry me through while I'm in vocal recovery. Yeah, but I haven't decided if I'm going to do the surgery or not because, again, I am 5 months removed from a major surgery. These last 2 years has definitely there's been an amazing experience. How is having surgery amazing? It helps you put shit into perspective. It helps you let go and forgive. It helps you take care of your fucking self. You definitely, if you're like one of those people that like put everybody before yourself, it definitely helps you put yourself first. I'm laughing because I'm just like, oh, I've definitely been putting 42 years. I've never 41 years. It's only the 8th month of this year, and I've put myself first more than anything. More than anything, any time ever in my life, I've put myself first, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you, Honestly Blue. If you could send me a message to my email that's in the description box, I would definitely love to talk to you and catch up. Somebody asked me why do I talk about the shit that I talk about, they said it just like that. Why you talk about the shit that you be talking about? Because one, I want people to know that they're not alone. Like everybody get triggered. Some people just talk about their triggers. Hi, that's me. I'm gonna talk about her. I'm gonna talk about her triggerer. I'm a trigger talker about her. I'm one of those people. And some people just sit in silence and feel like they're the only person to experience it. And two, just to trigger shit in your brain. That's it. The trigger. It was, like I talk about therapy. I get I'm laughing right now because I be talking about therapy so much. All the people around me are now starting to say, "Oh, we should go to therapy. I should therapy." And I'm like, that's exactly what I want you to do. I want you to know that you have an alternative resource than just being angry or shutting down or any of those things. You have a resource. Therapy is a resource. Now, it might not work for you. At least give it 3 times, and it might not work for you because you're gonna go in with all these expectations. Go in with an open mind. This is what I want you to go into therapy with. I'm not telling you to do this, but this is an idea. If your entire life you have been operating in one way and things have never changed, I want you to go in therapy with a different mindset. Like, I don't want to operate in that same manner. How do I not do that? Therapy already going to show you how to do that, but I want you to go in like that. Like if you go into a relationship where you're like, damn, this last relationship I was just in was really fucked up, and you go into the new relationship like, I'm just going to go in here, and you are not the last person that I was with. You are a different person. Like you have those different things, but most time people go in looking for red flags. So by the second or third date, you already got red flags, and you're like, no, I'm gonna pass on you, and then you move on to somebody else, and then that was your soulmate or the love of your life or twin flame, whatever. All these new things they got out. Maybe that was that person, but because you allowed the things that you weren't healed of from your last relationship to dictate, yeah, we could talk about that all day. But that's all I got, y'all. Understanding triggering experiences. Oh no, that's not all I got because I hit all the major components of my list. Now I want to give you some things on how you can cope with triggers. The one thing, well, there's a lot of these things on the list that works for me, but the one that I found out or that I feel works the best for me is mindfulness, like relaxation, meditation, like sitting and being still and just like clearing or just allowing my mind to express itself, and then like not responding or like trying to, just being in present in the moment. um be aware of your triggers, understand what a trigger is for you. Maybe it is a sound, maybe it is a smell, maybe it's a location, maybe it's when people yell, maybe it's when somebody continues to push you to express your feelings. Be aware of your triggers. um, Anticipate your triggers. Anticipate and plan a coping strategy. For me, like I said, whenever was stressed, I would get a Pepsi. It was a wild cherry Pepsi too. Those were really good. I don't drink the Pepsis anymore. But a wild cherry Pepsi, peanut M&Ms, and sunflower seeds. Now I just sit and I play my meditation music. I meditate. So be aware of it. Maybe your thing is when you get really stressed out, you gotta go have sex or you gotta go get a drink or whatever. Find an alternative. If you've been doing that for a while and it hasn't helped, you probably think like, yeah, I feel better now, but it hasn't. It's not working. It's only adding more to what is already there. Anticipate and plan a coping strategy for the triggers. Um, Call someone. If you are feeling triggered, call someone that you trust. Call someone that you trust and that you feel safe with. Call them and talk to them. I know a lot of times people haven't called me because they're like, I don't want to be a burden. And I told them, I don't give a fuck about what you thinking. Just call me. Give me that option to tell you what's going on. Like if I can listen to you or not. Give me that option. But me, if you call me, I'm going to listen to you. And then, of course, therapy is going to come up in a conversation. But that's my new word, therapy. Anyways, but call somebody. Call somebody and talk to them. Keep a journal. Write down what you're feeling or what you're experienced or what triggered or how you were triggered and your response to the trigger. And lastly, exercise regularly. Now, mindfulness and exercise. All of these things on this list is things that I've been practicing that I do, and they actually help me, and I feel better. I feel better in doing them. I feel better in sharing. So I share. I do live workouts. Um, so I share everything that I do so that you'll know. Like somebody was like, "Why the fuck are you flopping all around doing exercise?" I was like, "Because when was the last time you seen somebody like me working out? When?" Like you can go on YouTube right now and type in any kind of workout. You're gonna see people that's like real muscular. You see the girls with the little sports bra or whatever, and their stomachs all ripped. Like I'm not out here showing y'all my stomach now. When it goes down a little bit more, I'm definitely gonna show y'all because I want y'all to see the scar and because I want y'all to see how much I've transformed. But I want y'all to see me here and I want y'all to see me there. I want y'all to see it. Like I really feel like if we see more people or talk to more people or have the resource of people who've been through the shit that we've been through and see them as they overcome or how they process, we will do it. Kids want to grow up and be like LeBron because they see he's playing basketball, he's traveling, he got clothes, he got cereal, he got all this shit. People see that. People want to be like the people in the neighborhood because that's what they saw. They saw them with the nice cars, they saw them with the nice girls and all that stuff. They see that. School to ask you what you want to be. You be like, oh, a doctor, lawyer, police officer. Now we got to give people something positive. I was grateful when I was in school. I was like, I don't know why I'm going out here, but now I'm older. I'm like, I'm grateful. So I see the world is open. I see that I can literally do anything I fucking want to do. I woke up instead. I want to start a fucking podcast. I have a podcast. I have a podcast. You wake up every day saying you want to do YouTube, but don't do it because you don't got camera or lights. And I do everything from my fucking iPhone. I don't know. I just determined in 2022 not to let any fucking thing stop me. I don't give a fuck what it is. Surgery, vocal cords, anything. If I have to fucking write it out on a piece of paper or type it on the screen as I will be talking, I'm going to figure this shit out and we're going to get it done. Fear's not stopping me anymore. It did that before in my life. 42 plus? Oh, 42 plus is nothing but smiles, peace, light, love, and positivity. That's all 42 plus is going to be. You know, life's going to throw some shit at you, but you're going to have to, but light, love, and positivity. Peace, light, love, positivity, and happiness is where I'm at for the rest of my life. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to strive for that every fucking day. And whenever I come and talk to y'all, I'm going to strive for peace, light, love, positivity, and radiate happiness. That's just what I'm going to do. That's all I got. Remember that it is important for you to use your words because that is the only fucking way. I know we try to say, I've been with this person for 15, 10, 12, 11, 8, 9, 3, 5 years. They should know me by now. But if they don't know you by now, I'm not gonna say they won't never know you, but I'm saying the only way that they would know if you use your words, if you tell them how you feel, tell them they hurt your feelings, tell them that you love the way that they stroked your hair last night while y'all were watching the movies. Tell them. If more people talked, more people will understand how the other person is feeling, and then we wouldn't have as much violence as we have. That's one of the components I feel like why we have so much violence, because people don't talk. One of the components. That's my opinion again. That's all I got. Also, remember that it is important for you to love yourself, know yourself, trust yourself, and for the love of humanity, just be yourself. Why? Because you need you, I need you, the world needs you to be exactly who you were created to be. Not who we want you to be, but who you created to be. Who you be when you at home with your sweats on or your boxers or whatever you got on. That's just you. We don't need you to put on. We need you to just be you. And besides, everybody else is already taken. Now, make sure you get your toiletries, your non-perishable food items, water, disinfectant, set some money to the side, matches, candles, all that shit. Because if you pay attention to history, not saying that history is going to repeat itself, but you want to be prepared in the event that it does. I just want you and your family to be taken care of. That's all I got. I love y'all, and I appreciate y'all. And until next time. Peace.